G'day from WA, hi and welcome to my channel. Today I thought I would take a little break from decorating the giveaway junk journal and just do a little bit of art journaling just for a change. Haven't done any for quite some time. So I found this napkin. Can't remember where I got this particular one from, but most of my napkins came from either Which Craft Do You Do or littlebirdie.com. So yeah, I bought a whole pile from both places, but I don't know which is which. But anyway, it's a really pretty napkin, and I'm just going to use gesso and some of this acrylic titanium just because I've already done one coat of gesso and I don't want it to be too white. I just want to give it a little bit of a tinge of colour so that it's not bright white. Add titanium, this sort of beige colour to it, just to sort of give it a bit of non-white colour. And I'm just going to go over the page. I'm not really looking for anything in particular, just an off-white colour. I really don't want this text, words of the text to come through, so I'm going to cover the whole page and give it all a bit of a background. Rather than lean over the book, I'm going to turn the book over and just continue on this way. But I thought that the titanium colour would help to cover the text. I put some washi tape down the centre to protect the centre of the book so that it doesn't, water and paint doesn't seep through, because it's an altered book. If you allow paint and water to seep through, it's quite likely to damage the integrity of the book and you'll find it'll fall apart. It's a tax and duties book from 1969. Has a lovely cover, which I've painted one coat, but I'll decorate the cover when I've finished the journal, which may take me a while. Okay, let's try that and see how that's going. So I'm switching to voiceover now. I recorded the rest of the video without talking, so I'll just add to the video as we go along. So just using water and a brush to separate the pieces of the napkin that I want to use. I thought it would just be easier to record the painting and creating of the page on its own without having to think about what I was saying. So I'm not sure why I felt I should remove that piece of napkin. So I only use Liquitex Gel Matt Medium now for all napkin journaling and anything that I want to be very well glued down, because it's such a good glue. It glues everything. It doesn't buckle the page too much. The napkins stick well. They don't dry and bubble up. So it's very expensive. There's no way of getting around that. The Liquitex Gel Matt Medium here costs about $27 for that tub. So it's not a cheap hobby, which I don't know if that's why I'm dabbing it in and trying to use a small amount each time. I didn't realise that I'd do that. It's quite funny watching yourself do this napkin journaling, because obviously this is the first time I've recorded myself doing a napkin page, and yeah, it's kind of weird. It's very different to crafting. In some ways it's easier because you just set the camera going and record the process of making the page, and if it turns out horrible, then just don't post the video. I didn't remove all the backing to start with. Sometimes I find it easier to tear the napkin exactly where I want it to be torn rather than using the wet brush method. And if you have the backing on, it's easier to do the tearing correctly. Once they're like this, in that fragile state, they easily tear in the wrong place. So because I could see that I would need to tear the branches from the bird, I thought, well, I'll leave it all as, as a full napkin, and then just take the backing off as I find the pieces that I want to use. And this one I decided to make a shorter branch, creating my own tree from the pieces. I did spend quite a lot longer deciding where to put these pieces, but I've spared you the pain of watching me try 10 different positions. I'm happy with where they all ended up, so it's kind of worth taking your time and getting it right, because otherwise you'll lose interest in the page if it's if everything's not to your liking. So I'm actually quite happy to spend time picking and choosing and planning. I did this really late at night. There's nothing going on outside. Just relax and have some fun painting without interruption. Well, painting, gluing. I've missed it because I haven't done any for a while. I've been busy setting up my YouTube channel and doing the journals and things. So this is the first bit of art journaling I've done for a while. I really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping to at least do one per week, either in my napkin journal, or sometimes I do them on a separate piece of paper so that you can scan them more easily and then use them. But I want to. This book is supposed to be this book is my napkin journal, so I want to try and fill it up, and that's why I bought a whole pile of extra napkins so that I've got a lot of variety. Most of my napkins came from Which Craft Do You Do? Did I already say that? I can't remember. And then some other napkins came from littlebirdie.com. I might have told you that in the beginning, sorry. So here I'd made a mistake. There was glue on the left-hand side there, and I didn't realise when I just laid the napkin down, so it's already stuck. So, it's not coming up, Julie. Leave it where it is. It's stuck. So all I can do is just go with the flow and make sure it's properly attached. So otherwise I would just tear it. But it meant that branch is growing out of midair. We'll fix that later. At the moment, just got to make sure I've got glue in that seam, otherwise when I open and close the pages it will lift up. So I spent a fair amount of time making sure there was glue in the center there and that it was glued down well. I've edited out some of the brush strokes and things, because otherwise we'd be here till Christmas watching me fiddle around. So, but just make sure your items have. If you can't get the glue underneath, like that one, I can't lift it up, then you use a lot of glue on the top so that it goes through to the underneath part. There's two different techniques. One is where you glue the page first, and one where you just put the glue on top. And it's just a matter of preference. You have to try both ways to see which one you like best. You can press, if you're like pressing firm, then no glue underneath is probably a better option, because you can press a bit harder with the glue in the brush. But I like a really soft brush, and normally I'm quite sort of gentle with it. I have learned that if you're not careful, you just rip it to shreds. But if you haven't got glue underneath and you're working with a dry napkin, when you put it down, you have to put a lot of glue on it and press quite firmly. So there was a bit of an air bubble there, which I had to fix by pressing firmly and putting lots of glue on. And then I wanted to include an extra bird, but they were all facing the same way. So I just turned it around and put it on upside down. And surprisingly, it came out exactly the same, reversed, but still full colour. So that's a handy thing to know, is that if you want to turn the napkin the other way, once you've glued it down, you won't be able to, you can't tell the difference. I should have got rid of that sort of grey stuff that's coming out of his head. But I didn't. So I showed you the heat tool there, so you must dry it before you trim the edges, because if you don't, you'll find that the napkin lifts off the page and sticks to your fingers and all sorts of annoying things like that. So dry the page off and then trim it. I like this part. I love making it look neat. It looks so much different once it's been trimmed off and tidied up. and then I found some other pieces that needed to go in to sort of cover up that area there that doesn't look good. Just stick something over it. Oh, I love napkin journaling. I don't know, you can create such pretty pages and feel like you've created them, even though all the artwork has been done obviously by the napkin people, and they make such beautiful napkins. But we can play with the napkins and feel like an artist. It gives the same feeling as if I had painted the birds myself, because I've created a whole new scene. And yeah, made a pretty page. I just buy whatever acrylics I can find, usually the cheapest that I can find, because I was practicing, because I was new to acrylics. I certainly wasn't going to spend a lot of money on acrylics. I think the most expensive one was the beige one, which is the Liquitex Basics. Um, I particularly wanted that colour, and I think that was only $7 or something. But all the others were like $2, just from the or we call them the $2 shops. You might, in America, I guess it might be Dollar Tree, those kind of shops, wherever you get your cheap craft and hobby stuff. Um, you I don't think you need expensive paints to do this. I don't know, what'll happen to the paints over time. I don't know what they'll be like in a year's time or 5 years' time. I've no idea. But I don't really think that, I don't know, that our art journal pages are, you know, going to be looked at in 100 years' time. So it really is just the experience, the fun, the pleasure gained from being creative and making something pretty. I, I, I just love it. I just grabbed the brush and I didn't really even think about what colour was on the brush, but I just went with it. Too late now. I knew it had the sort of beige colour. And the thing about acrylics is that you can just add more colour, add more paint till you get it the colour that you like. So I use my finger a lot, especially when I'm trying to get into those smaller spaces. And for some reason, I mean, I don't remember enjoying finger painting as a child. I really, actually, as a child, I didn't like mess. I wouldn't have liked it, I don't think. I don't remember finger painting. I mean, all kids do it, but I just don't remember it. But as an adult, I don't mind it. I've really enjoyed getting into art journaling and napkin journaling, junk journaling. Um, there's so many opportunities and variety and things to do and things to learn and things to try. It's like there's not enough time in the day to try everything that we see on YouTube. I love it. And I really love this part of it, just throwing on paint. Oh, yeah, it's a bit too brown, but that's okay, we'll fix that. Sometimes the paint that's on the brush is not mixed properly, and I get, oops, big splotches of brown here and there, but it's fine. As long as you've matched, I spend quite a bit of time mixing my colours so that everything on that little paper palette, is going to sort of match in with the napkin. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't have any red. I don't know if I should have done. I've been avoiding red a little bit, even though it's sort of my favourite colour. In junk journaling, when you use red, it tends to look like blood on the page, and so I've stopped really using red. What I was looking for with this page was I wanted the yellow to match in with the bird, and I wanted it to kind of look like that either sunset or sunrise sort of sky where it's sort of a yellowy blue colour. So I was laying down the yellow colours, matching in the brown with the edges of the napkin, and trying to give it that hazy sort of yellowish colour. And then I wanted to try and bring in blue to, give the sky. That was my plan at this stage, was sort of a yellowish bluish sky. And then the idea here was that you're meant to have like a lighter patch in the centre so that you can put your sentiment there. So assuming that my sentiment's going in the middle there, I thought, well, maybe I better lighten it up a bit. And then I thought, well, yeah, I might as well do the edges in brown, but I didn't like it. So I actually went over those brown areas and lightened them up so they're not really very noticeable. And so I had a leftover piece of napkin from a previous page that I had done, and I thought, well, I'll use those up. First I thought they might be too big, but no, I think they're okay. I mean, they obviously are too big, but it doesn't matter. None of this was pre-planned. I just kind of go with it. Whatever's appealing to the eye, put it down. Napkin journaling is just so much fun because it's like creating a jigsaw puzzle instead of creating art. I'm basically putting all the pieces together to make an artistic looking piece, an artistic looking picture. And so it has a lot of, you get a lot of feeling of success because you've made something pretty and you've done it yourself, but you haven't really painted a tree or a butterfly or a bird. Obviously, if I tried to paint this, it would not look anything like it. I did try. I watched a lot of Shada Campbell and Emma Lefebvre and who else? Oh, Creation CC. Yeah, I tried all that. I can't do it. But I do like playing with paint. I like mixing colours and sloshing it around. And so art journaling, napkin journaling gives me the outlet of painting. But I don't have to make a butterfly or a bird or a tree look like a bird or a butterfly or a tree. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't tried it and you fancy it, have a go. It's not as hard. I think what I'm trying to sort of do with my art journaling and putting it on YouTube is to show people it's not as hard as it looks. I know I've shown people my art journal pages and the pieces that I've created so far, and they're like, "Oh wow, I wish I could paint. I wish I could do that." But you can. I mean, if you want to, people can do it. It really isn't. It really isn't difficult. I've done nothing tricky here at all except glue stuff down, splosh some colour that matches the napkin. I don't know, I suppose you'd call that a bit of dry brush technique, maybe. There's really not a lot of technique in any of it. I mean, finger painting, covering things up that you don't like. It's really only in the colour matching, and that just comes with practice. And yeah, just buy the cheap paint, and then it doesn't matter if you make a mess. These tubes cost a whole tube costs $2, and they'll last for ages. So that's what I did. I just went out and bought a whole. I got tired of trying to get the kind of blue that I wanted, so I went out and bought a whole pile of blues and purples so that I could just get them. I wanted to do a lot of things in teal, so I've got 2 or 3 of those sort of turquoise colours. this aqua. One of these paints is a bit strange. It's like it's this one, the mid blue one, not the dark blue one, but the mid blue one. It's like jelly. It's really quite strange, and I don't know whether that's what caused the problems with me painting. Now this was a mistake. I had yellow and it's like this. Of course I immediately made green, so I had to start again. Might as well not bothered having the yellow on there, to be honest. I should have not used it because I really didn't want it to look green, but I was going for the sky blue colour. It started off okay. This blue seems to be okay. I was trying to get the blue of the butterfly and have that sort of coming through so that it was, trying to get that yellow blue haze, which I think it started off okay, but I don't know, somewhere along the line it turned green. I don't know if it's whether I didn't dry it or that mixed with the yellow underneath. Can't remember whether that was the case. I don't remember drying it between coats, so that could be something that I did wrong with it. I should have dried the whole yellow layer and the whole brown layer before adding anything else. Anyway, I went over it with the dry wipe and it was okay. I was happy with it. And then it was a case of, well, what sentiments? I hadn't chosen sentiments till now, which is where the problem started, because of course I hadn't painted them. I didn't know what I was going to be using. Quite liked the idea of something with gentle. The little bird and the butterflies were just making me feel like that they were gentle and light. So I had the two gentle options, but I didn't like that one, so I got rid of that one. And I felt like I wanted a sense of humour. I was quite drawn to having a sense of humour, and I probably needed a sense of humour for this process that's coming up next. And I don't know what happened to my sense of humour. It disappeared. Not my sense of humour, the card. I don't know where the card went. It didn't make it to the page, and I'm not really sure why. It was here, somewhere in the process, maybe somewhere I didn't film. So I'm finding it quite amusing, the fact that trying to get these cards to match the background, which was almost impossible because A, the card's too shiny, B, there's a lot of different colours that make up the background. The card is like a blue colour to start with, and no matter what I did to the cards, I couldn't get them to match. And then you see my sense of humour's gone. Where did it go? Why? Well, I don't understand how that happened. To be honest, it's a blur. I don't remember. Somehow or another I had to find real friends instead of a sense of humour. Okay, we'll find real friends instead of a sense of humour. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe I decided that I couldn't go through the process of trying to colour another card. But I still made it difficult. Because you see, they're still green. They're meant to be bluish. But it's okay. So I think I was looking at that little bird down the bottom, and I felt like, he's looking for a friend. Other than that, I have no idea why that sentiment arrived and where my sense of humour went. And here, look, I've splashed blue on there with a brush, forgetting that I didn't put the blue on the other page with a brush. I put it on with a dry wipe. So now the two pages don't look the same. But I think I do go over that and fix it, because it doesn't look that bad now. It just looks awful here. So yeah, I made a bit of a mess of the left hand side. And then just keep adding to the mess. Let's just keep going, Julie. Just add more paint. Oh, no, let's take it off. And then add some more and then take it off again. Yeah. And then in the end, I just gave up and thought, oh, this is not getting any better. Let's just stick it down and deal with it. And of course, it's not dry properly, so the paint wants to come off again. And then I decided to add the gel medium onto this one. The reason why I added it over the top, I actually did go around the edges quite carefully because the cards are quite thick and it looked like it was just stuck on. But if you put the gel medium along the edges, it will make it look like it's raising out of the paper instead of stuck onto the paper. So it does create a bit of a a connection to the page. And then I had the choice of two pencils. There was a charcoal and a black from memory. And the one that I practiced with on a separate piece of paper was the charcoal one, but somehow or another, pretty sure I've ended up with the wrong one, which is why it all ended up a lot darker. And here we go with the water, and I'm like, oh, it's quite black. It wasn't like that before. It was supposed to be a sort of a dark grey. But so I dabbed some of it away with a dry wipe. Of course, the same problem happened here. So yeah, I tried sort of watering it down a bit and spreading it around a bit, but yep, we got grunge. I wasn't really going for the grungy look, but that's what I ended up with. Yeah, sometimes you just have to go with it. Oh, here we go, more black. It didn't bother me at the time. It was just, okay, I'll deal with it. And then these are just, I don't know, some sort of, they're called fabric pastels or something. I got them from an op shop for $2. I usually pick up anything, any art supplies that are not, really children-y whenever I find them. So yeah, it was okay. I just couldn't read the writing, so because I've rubbed the words so much, and there's so much grunge on top, so I had to go over them. And as I'd already written over the Tim Holtz words, it sort of matched to have them all handwritten. I used to do calligraphy, so I didn't mind doing this part. Even if it doesn't look perfect, I was quite happy to do it. I've never been able to do those G's. I might be able to do it now because I had to do quite a few G's. Those funny squiggly ones. Other than the G, this style of calligraphy I'm doing now is the one that I learnt. Well, I don't do those A's normally either. But it had to be done. The only other thing I could have done was to put a card over the top and then just use that as a background, as a sort of a base or a mat. I thought of that today while I was editing, that would have been another solution when these cards were not going well. But I stuck with it. Just putting my initials and my date in the corner. That's my completed page. I had a lot of trouble with the sentiments, trying to use the cards that I already had. The cards are just too shiny, and the paint doesn't stick properly and doesn't colour properly. So that's something to remember for future when I want to use these sentiment cards that I've had for a really long time, and I thought it was a great use for them.
Perhaps I need to just cover them with gesso and let them dry. Turned out a little bit more grungy than I had originally planned on. I had actually wanted the background to be kind of like sky, sort of bluish, but it's okay. It's sort of foresty. It sort of looks rainy. It looks autumny because like it is actually autumn here, but that wasn't what I was going for either. I just liked the napkin. The end result is mostly I'm really happy with it. And that's what art journaling is all about. I felt good when I was doing it. It was fun all round, nice and relaxing, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to doing more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye bye.